It is 2 o'clock. We are going to get started. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Wendell Kimbrough. It is my pleasure to serve as the Chief Executive Officer for Area Resources for Community and Human Services based in St. Louis and better known as ARCHES. Before we get started with our panel, let me say thank you to all of our partners in this wonderful event. It's the 15th Missouri Reentry Missouri Reentry Conference, and we're doing it virtually for the first time, as we all well know. We had a great kickoff this past Tuesday, which we'll talk about a little bit more. But first, thank you to the Missouri Department of Corrections. Thank you to the Missouri Department of Social Services. Thank you to the Missouri Fact Board, and thank you to my team here at ARCHES. Also, a big thanks to one of our sponsors, the Mission Gate Ministry, for sponsoring this week's sessions. We will learn more about this ministry during the film festival later in the conference. For most of us, 2020 has been a year of innovation for a variety of reasons, especially adapting to COVID-19. Each and every one of you on this webinar should be proud of your ability to serve justice-involved individuals in this very different space that we're operating in. As mentioned earlier, on Tuesday, the Director of Corrections, Director Ann Presythe, stressed the importance of wraparound services and how community collaborations are critical to reentry work. Wraparound services help people very simply overcome barriers to employment, to transportation, to childcare, to housing, and healthcare creates better families, better neighbors, and better communities. Wraparound services can also have an intergenerational impact if children see their parents working and understand that work is a part of society and it's something that all of us, if possible and if capable, should be participating in. There's a good chance those children will grow up to make an honest living and stay out of jail. Keep those long-term impact ideas in mind as we go through the day-to-day task. And sometimes, as we know, especially this year, those day-to-day tasks can be daunting. But let's just remember that we are here to keep those young people and their families from having fathers and mothers, sisters and brothers re-enter the system, then come back out of the system, etc. A few housekeeping notes ahead of today's panel. As we all know, this is a Zoom webinar, so attendees are not on camera and are automatically muted. The only people that can see or hear are the host and the panelists. This webinar is being recorded and will be sent out to everyone who registered within 48 hours. If you would like to ask questions of our panelists, you can utilize the Q&A feature of Zoom. For other comments and discussion, that chat feature is also an option. You can chat specifically to any individual, the facilitators, or to everyone attending. We also want to thank the Missouri Coalition of Recovery Support. They sponsored the conference app and webpage, and we've got quite a few cool features on this year's app. The app allows you to interact with each other, conference attendees, once you log in. You can also use the shake feature on the app to network with others in the same session as you. And as Mr. Chapman, one of our panelists, is showing us, just shake your phone and you should be able to connect. The app features a wall where you can post pictures of conversation starters. We'd love to see you learning and engaging. You can also check out the sponsors and the exhibitors. And then certainly last but not least, there will be videos posted to the Film Festival tab every Wednesday. Those videos were submitted by organizations across the state serving the justice involved. To that end, without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce today's panel host, Ken Chapman. He is the Women's and Offender Reentry Program Manager for the Missouri Department of Corrections. Ken is leading a panel discussion called Aspire Missouri, a collaborative entrepreneurial approach to reentry. I will turn it over to Ken. You all have a great panel.
Thank you, Wendell. I appreciate you. I appreciate Arches and all that they've done to make this conference a reality. I'm telling you, it's not easy to pivot the way we've had to with the pandemic, but I sure appreciate all their hard work in that and what we can do together. Appreciate Bill Dent as well and the work that FACT has done, and Jennifer Tidball with the Department of Social Services. So this is exciting. When you talk about creative approaches to reentry, anytime you talk about an entrepreneur program for justice-involved individuals, that's pretty edgy. But then when you add to it women, it's even more edgy, because we, in the state of Missouri, unfortunately, we have a notorious distinction right now for incarcerating the most women per capita of any state in the union. And that is something that we are working diligently to overcome. So I'm excited about all of our panelists, and I'm just going to give a brief introduction to some of them so that they don't have to. We can get right to the good stuff. But I'm going to start with Kellyanne Coates from the Department of Economic Development. She is here with us today. She is kind of the brainchild behind Aspire Mo and what it means. She has been appointed by Governor Parson, and she is the executive director of the Missouri Women's Council. And so we're glad to have her with us, as well as Jessie Yankee, who is with Central Missouri Community Action. And she is with, and I'm probably going to get this wrong, Jessie, so don't shoot me, with the Women's Business Council. Am I close? What is it?
Missouri Women's Business Center. It's right there on your screen, Ken.
I never get it right. I never get it right.
Close.
And it's not, and I've got it covered by all your faces. So that's my fault. So, but I appreciate Jessie and all the work that she's done to make this a reality. Also on the call is Danielle Bellamy, reentry coordinator for the Department of Corrections. And Danielle is the DOC guru behind all of this great stuff. And so I appreciate her being on the call today, as well as Lori Barnes. Lori Barnes is out there. She is actually one of our incarcerated participants. She is still in prison at the Women's Eastern Reception Diagnostic and Correctional Center in Vandalia, and she's going to be a panelist. We're going to get to talk to her. I want to thank Director Ann Precythe and Director Jeff Norman of the Division of Adult Institutions for allowing us to get to interview somebody inside the walls. That's a new thing for us with the Reentry Conference, so we're excited about that. We're also going to have Carly O'Shea on, and I want to thank Tammy Shute for helping us get her on. Carly O'Shea is a recently released graduate of Aspire Mo, who is out in the community in Jefferson City doing work. She's right now at Scholastics, but she's got a great story, and we're going to talk to her about that. Also want to thank Denise Dewey, who is one of our she's one of our case managers at Vandalia. She's going to be hosting as well Lori Barnes and enabling her to be on the call. Did I miss anybody? Did I get everybody? I think I got everybody. If I missed somebody, I apologize. But again, I want to get right to the start of this, because I think what you're going to be interested in is not listening to me. So I'm going to turn this over to my colleague, to my friend Kellyanne Coates. Kellyanne is going to give us a little bit of an overview of the program, talk to us through some of the summary of the partnerships and those kind of things. So Kellyanne, take it away.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Wendell, for that introduction as well, and for hosting us today. We're really excited to be here and share with y'all our pilot program, Aspire Mo. So as Ken was referring to earlier, Missouri in 2017 had the highest female incarceration rate in the country. When I met with Director Precythe, that just really struck me, and I was trying to kind of figure out, as a new executive director, where we were going to take the Missouri Women's Council within Department of Economic Development. And workforce development is one of Governor Parson's priorities, infrastructure and workforce development. So we took that cue, got along really great with Director Precythe. She introduced me to Ken. We had a 2-hour lunch, and out of that came this idea about a women's entrepreneurship training program inside the walls. So one of the things that we had discussed was that even with a 3.2% unemployment rate at the time, many employers were open to hiring our returning citizens, but there were still some that weren't. So the idea came about to focus on entrepreneurship as a different tool in the toolbox for some of these ladies to have in case they ever had the opportunity to start their own business or be their own boss, create their own job. We definitely were under no illusion that they're going to walk out of prison with a full business plan and just start a business. It's one of the hardest things anybody can ever do is start your own business. And Jesse's going to talk a little bit more about that here in a few minutes. But we took a curriculum that she's going to talk about and we supplemented it with strengths finders, testing and coaching. We partner with JobPoint, who helps a lot with their confidence building and understanding the workplace. We partner with Department of Workforce Development, Division of Workforce Development within the Department of Higher Education and Workforce Development. So Marty Leathers, Yvonne Wright, and their team. Central Workforce Development Board, I think Jean Solis and Sunday Joe are on the line. So we're excited to have y'all here, and they've been critical partners for us, as well as Connections to Success, who provides their personal and professional development class for us as well. And then Missouri Women's Business Center, we couldn't do it without Jessie Yankee and her team. And she's housed out of the Central Missouri Community Action, which has been our philanthropy partner. So that's a little bit about the partnerships there. And I think I can hand it on over to Jessie.
Thanks, Kellyanne. Yeah, so I wanted to give you guys an overview of what our curriculum looks like. And first of all, what I want to tell you about the Missouri Women's Business Center is we're open to everyone. So we are a program that is open to the public. We're funded by the Federal Small Business Administration, and there's women's business centers across the nation. And so why I tell you that is that if you're thinking of starting a business or you have a friend, and we do actually serve men as well, although we are the Women's Business Center, you can look us up and we'll help anyone work on any stage of business development, access to capital, and anything like that. So that was a perfect fit for what we're doing here with Aspire Mo. The way that I look at our ladies in our class they're absolutely no different than the women I serve in the public. And so what we did is we took our traditional curriculum at the Women's Business Center, which is called Launch You. It's a 12-week business planning course, and Danielle put the slides up here. You can look at an example of our agenda of our class. And so people come into this course with no knowledge of how to start a business. In fact, I'm sure Carly and Lori, who have both been through our class on the call, can attest to the first day that they received their book, which is a big fat book, and you start leafing through it, and it's profit and loss statements, and it's things that they're like, what? I have no idea what this is, and I'm never going to be able to do this. And then by the end, they're giving a graduation speech and talking about the financial solvency of their business. And so you can look at the agenda here at what we did is we took that 12-week curriculum and then added 8 weeks peppered in of different types of soft skills, leadership training, strength finding, and a big one is personal finance. We all know that's a big issue. And so after the 20 weeks, the women have come into our class with just an idea and they leave with a feasible business idea. So that's the curriculum in a nutshell. And I will turn it over to Danielle about our selection and screening process. Oh, and there's an example up on your screen of one of the business plans that was created in our class. The business plans are quite thick, but this is just a showing of one of the cover pages and the executive analysis of a typical business plan that is produced in the class. So thank you, Danielle.
Absolutely. So the Aspire Mo team is really committed to quality screening and selection of program participants. So with the assistance of the staff at WERDCC, we developed a system for recruiting and screening along with an application and interview process. So on this screen, you can see a program application that would be completed by any interested offender. Screening begins with like standard inclusion and exclusion criteria, such as release date, institutional conduct and adjustment, criminal history, those types of more static factors. And then an equally important component of this process includes screening for personal qualities that are really important for success in the program. So we really look for those individuals who are prepared to work hard to make those positive changes in their life and to really get down to work preparing for successful release and reentry. So through these in-person interviews, the team selects 10 applicants that really demonstrate appropriate motivation and passion. They model responsibility within the institution and present with a positive attitude and genuine hunger for knowledge. So we are going to move on and discuss the approach to release and reentry planning. That is really a huge component of the AspireMo program.
Great. So I'll hit on the first step, and that's our class structuring content. So as you can see, it might be a little hard for you to see all the different classes that Jesse was talking about, but our syllabus is very deliberate, and our class placement is very deliberate as we sprinkle in bits of personal development along with professional development, and then the actual Launch You curriculum that Jesse teaches. So we don't want to hit them all at once with business plan, because it is overwhelming. It would be overwhelming for anyone, and in particular if you're incarcerated. And then we wanted to, like I said, sprinkle in some of that professional or personal development. We also bring in business owners themselves. And that is a great part about this program, is that we have so many wonderful supporters. We have some financial supporters. We also have people that support us with their time. So they come to Vandalia and they go through the process to enter the facility, and then they sit down and they tell their story about how they got started and their challenges. And that's been one of the best parts about the program. But also, Pastor Ken Chapman shows up on the first day of class and kind of sets the tone and expectations. So as you all know, Ken, he can be quite entertaining, but when he needs to be serious, he is very good about getting his point across. So he sets the tone of what to expect, not only in the classroom, but outside of the classroom. So we have them, like Danielle said, for 3 hours, 1 day a week for 20 weeks. But what they do once they leave class has a huge impact on their potential completion and success of the program. So we try to make sure that we get all of that taken care of. We also, like I said earlier, partner with Central Workforce Development Board and Division of Workforce Development through mojobs.gov. And what we do there is we make sure that they're filling out all of their paperwork, they're entered into the system, so that they can take advantage of that and the career centers when they are released. And I'll hand it on over.
All right, thanks, Kellyanne. So after the class is over, we absolutely maintain engagement with all of the program participants. So step 2 of our process includes the pre-release planning. So very much in line with the department's case management model, the AspireMo team really understands the value of a collaborative approach to release and reentry planning. So in those final weeks prior to release, the team brings the partners back together along with the program participant to discuss and finalize those release plans. So during these calls, we will bring together the participant, Department of Corrections staff within the institution, as well as from the reentry unit. We bring Kellyanne and Jesse, representatives from Connections to Success, from the Central Workforce Development Board, probation and parole, case management, everyone that we can get together to start making these plans. Most immediately, we address their basic needs, including, those basic first 24, 48-hour needs, like hygiene, clothing, those really just vital pieces that need to be in place for safety and security. So from there, we start discussing their longer-term needs, including employment, transportation, supervision requirements. All of these steps and potential barriers we map out and discuss. Referrals to post-release providers are made, appointments are set, contact information is exchanged, and all of these plans are developed with everyone together. They're all drafted onto a single document and sent out to all of the partners, as well as the program participant. So everybody has that hard copy of each participant's plan, a clear path and guide to those first steps in those vital, first days and weeks post-release. So I will hand it over to Jesse to discuss our monthly partnership meetings.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one thing I wanted to say before I got into that is I don't think we really discussed like what the goal of this program is. Like I think we're talking a lot about the long-term goal is that they start businesses. That sounds awesome. But the real goal is that they never come back to prison. And we're really seeing so far really great results with that. And what we're detailing here is all of the steps that it's taking and all of the partners it's taking to make sure that each one of these women is secure when they exit the prison. And another part that we kind of just glazed over earlier is, we spend 6 months, once a week for 6 months with each of these ladies, and we develop deep relationships with all of them. They come into that first day of class and they belong there. They are, you guys know, you work with them every day, like they're hard shells to break. And then by the end, we're friends. And so when we're helping them release, it's like I'm helping my sister get out of jail. We're really there as their support system. And so that's where this monthly call comes in. So every single month, on the first Tuesday of the month, all of the partners involved across the board. So that is the CWIB ladies who are on this call today. That is the Connections to Success ladies, the Aspire team. And we work through a spreadsheet of every single solitary girl that has gone through our class, where they are, what they need immediately. We have a rating system of, are they green? Are they perfect and good and they don't need anything right now? Are they yellow where there's a few things that we need to work on? Where are they at? How much money are they making? Do they need help getting a job? And so that collaboration, that is the key to everything we're doing and to the success of these women, is the collaboration across the board with parole officers, with case managers from the day they come out of the prison to forever. I had a great meeting yesterday with Ken and Ann and other representatives from DOC, and someone asked me, how long are you going to work with these women? And I said, forever. They will never leave our environment unless they choose to do that. And then along the way, we'll start working on those business plans. So we really look at those monthly calls as a huge reason why we're successful in our communication. Because as you guys know, sometimes we're not getting the same story. The PO might be getting one story and then we're getting another story, but we're able to kind of work together to get the real story that's going on and help the woman to succeed. So that is a big part of what we're doing is the monthly calls. And I think I'm turning it over to Danielle.
Thank you, Jesse. So here we just wanted to give you a real quick overview of where we are at so far. As Kellyanne noted earlier, this was a pilot not that long ago. Our first cohort began in January of 2019. We had 10 participants, 9 successful completions, and 1 who was released early and was not able to complete the program. From cohort 2, we had 10 total participants begin, 10 successful completions. It was just a great group. And for cohort 3, unfortunately, it began at the beginning of 2020, which has been quite the year. So we had to suspend after the 4th session due to COVID. However, we have maintained engagement with all of those participants. We intend to work with them post-release, just like we would any of the participants who successfully completed. So we've already had some of those participants released and are working with them just the same. So with all 3 cohorts together, we've had 28 participants. 61% of those are released, so 17. And I just want to go over a few early outcomes that we've seen. So from our 17 released participants, we have an 82% employment rate with an average rate of pay nearly $15 an hour. Of our participants, we've had 1 return to the Department of Corrections, and it actually just happened to be that participant who was unable to successfully complete the program. So a recidivism rate at this point is 6% with 94% success rate thus far. One of the big barriers that we all know working with this population to release is the need for their source documents for that birth certificate, social security card, and state ID. So we have, after the first cohort, that was, a good lesson learned and a reminder of something that we need to include in our programming and our engagement with these ladies. So we have started tracking that and started incorporating the application process into the early parts of the program. So we've had, a pretty good percent, 52% at least, released with their birth certificate and Social Security card. And 22% of participants have been released with a birth certificate, Social Security card, and state ID. And lastly, of our released offenders, we have about 88% post-release engagement. That means all but 2 participants are actively engaging with the AspireMO team out in the community. Okay, so we are going to turn it over to our pre-release interview to talk through some things.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Danielle and Jesse and Kellyanne, for that information. I do want to send a shout out to Marty Meyer out there for helping put some of this data together. Marty did a great job of going through this, and I really appreciate the work that he does with Danielle and I and all of our partners in trying to figure out what the data tells us about our program. So thank you, Marty, for that. So, okay, is Lori Barnes somewhere in the house? Look at that. I see her. I can't hear her. Unmute yourself, girl. That's the best she sounded in a long time. We're going to get it. We're going to get it. We're going to get it. I can see they're working. As they're working on this and trying to get this piece of technology situated, I want you to, as panelists and guests out there, participants, if you want to ask Lori a question, please make sure you put those into the chat or into the question and answer box. The question and answer box would be better, but I know some of us, if you're like me, you just put it wherever a box comes up and you jump on it. So Denise, did you guys call in by any chance? Yes? No? They're working. So as they work, let me tell you a little bit about some other pieces. They're working hard to get this done. One of the things that we're really excited about, and Jesse kind of mentioned it a while ago, is a dynamic of what happens when women enter the program. And that first day that they come in, there's this little looking around the room to see what we're doing and who's a part of this and all those kind of speakers. The moderator should be able to, okay, let's see if I can unmute you. I'm trying.
Well, it's just good to see. I wanted to make a mention of, when we finished class, and Lori was in our very first class. Oh, she's unmuted now, but really quickly, we don't get to see them again like this. And so I want to cry just seeing you, Lori. So thank you for joining us, and I miss you, and I can't wait to see you on the outside. And I'll let you take over now, Ken.
Okay. Lori, talk, say something. Say hello, Lori.
Oh, still no mute.
Let's see if we can't turn her up a little bit. We're gonna keep working at this. We're not gonna give up. So, and I do think, as Jesse was mentioning, and Lori, you just talk. So if you interrupt me, it's okay. Okay, nobody wants to listen to me anyhow. So as we were, kind of working on this program, it's a little bit overwhelming, like we said, when the women come in, and that challenge is always difficult, because they don't know what they're walking into. And then on top of it, you put a Strength Finders book with it. You put a syllabus with it. You put the big Launch You program with it. Try where the arrow says mute or unmute. So I'm going to see if I can't do something on my end to help this process. I got nothing. So as they come into the program and they see the big program book and that thick notebook with all the numbers and all the plans and all those pieces there, it is rather, it's a huge challenge for them. And so we want to make sure that we're putting them in a position as best we can to be successful. We want to make sure that we're helping them process through what needs to be done in order to put their best foot forward and not to get too overwhelmed. That first day is a really intense day. because not only do they get to see all that information, they're stuck with me, giving them, as Kellyanne mentioned a while ago, a little bit of a coming to Jesus conversation about how we want them to behave and how we want them to act, not just when they're in the program, but also outside the program. Lori, is that any better?
If they're using the phone for audio, then they need to hit *6 on the phone, and that should give them audio to unmute on the Zoom, if it's a landline. Hopefully. Ken, there was a question in the chat about reviewing again the services that we provide post-release. Kellyanne, do you want to talk about that a little bit, or Danielle?
Okay.
Sure, sorry, I just had to find my unmute. So, I'm sorry, Kellyanne, were you gonna go?
No, go ahead. I was also having trouble with the mute.
Okay, so really what we do is case management type services. We're not, well, most of us aren't direct service providers, but what we do is to help make those referrals and connections to the appropriate service providers. And then we follow up and maintain that engagement with not only the participants, but with the providers as well. So for example, if somebody is really struggling to find or maintain employment, you know, between Kellyanne, Jesse, Ken, and our, you know, other primary partners, pretty much the whole state is covered on somebody knowing somebody or somebody having connections somewhere. And so it's all about building that network to reach as far as we can. So, you know, one of our participants has obtained employment through a connection that Kellyanne had. Of course, they had to go interview, they had to earn that job themselves, but that connecting point was there. So that's one of the pieces that we do. Jessie Yankee maintains her, you know, her role at Missouri Women's Business Center, providing those types of services post-release. You know, the business plan and everything is established within the facility, but, you know, maybe things change, maybe things evolve. So that engagement post-release and assistance in those types of services continues. Kellyanne, is there anything that
I was going to say too, yeah, our relationship with the Central Workforce Investment Board, and then being able to, in the past, help with things like transportation costs, you know, personal hygiene, some of those initial costs that we have, you know, that's a big part of it as well. And we hope to expand this program by creating more relationships for those financial supports to be able to provide more things. For example, I've had a graduate in the past at one of our very first release ladies who desperately needed a laptop, and I just went out to my personal network and said, hey, I need to raise money for a laptop. And literally when I got home from Vandalia that day, there was a check in my mailbox from somebody that wanted to. So people care about this. People want to see all of these women succeed, and we are just itching to get back in there once all of this COVID is done. So why don't we go ahead and talk to Carly, and we'll get Lori figured out on the back end.
Sounds great. If I would unmute myself, I think. Okay. Okay, Carly, I know you're on this call, so we're gonna turn our attention to you and let Lori keep working on that side of the ball, and maybe we can get it going. So, okay, Carly O'Shea, we're so proud of her and proud of the work that she's been doing as she's been out. You know, we mentioned a while ago that she has a job at Scholastic. So Carly, you're going to have to unmute yourself, okay? So I can ask you all these wonderful questions and pry into your, I'm just kidding, I'm not going to pry into your life. But we want to remind you as we talk to Carly that it's okay for you to type questions into the question and answer box. So Carly, okay, give us an update on where you are in reentry. Where are you at? What are you doing? Give us the lowdown.
All right, well, I was released on July 10th, and so I've been out for a couple months now. I'm doing really good. I'm working full-time at Scholastic, and I'm able to see my kids, and I started my own business. I'm just doing really good. You know, when I first got out, I started applying for jobs and reaching out for services, and Aspire helped me with a lot of those things, workforce development. And I am now employed with Scholastic, like I said, and I'm doing really good.
I'm so glad to hear that. I know when you get out, it's a little overwhelming, but why don't you answer this question? So you think back to the first day of class, and when you were sitting there the first day of class, and you got all this stuff. Okay, you got the book, you got the thick program guide, you got the syllabus, you got the coming to Jesus conversation with Ken Chapman, and we laid all this on you. What were your thoughts the first day compared to what your thoughts were the moment you graduated? Tell us what you found out about yourself.
Well, I was a little overwhelmed at first. I had all these dreams of starting a business. I didn't know how involved it was and how much, planning and work it takes to make a business plan. And once I found that out, I was like really overwhelmed. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this, but we had all the help and support. And then the day I graduated, it was like this big sense of accomplishment. And I felt really great about myself. I felt like before where it felt impossible, it was now possible. And, not only did we write a business plan, but we learned about our strengths, our weaknesses, and like how to overcome our barriers and actually make it possible. And so that was really exciting. I learned a lot about myself and a lot about the other girls, and I just had a really good time, and it was a really good growth experience for me. So.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that. Tell us about, the pre-release process from you with the Aspire Mo team and the follow-up when you were released. Tell us about what that experience was like, especially you participated in a pre-release call. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, approaching release after doing so many years in prison is super overwhelming. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know, it was my first time in prison, so I didn't know anything about the release itself. And then I was just, unsure of just what was going to happen when I left. So before you leave, the DOC works with Aspire and other, people, and we have a conference call meeting. And so I was given the contact information to everybody I needed to know, kind of like a general outline of what was going to happen after release. And just knowing that I have people who care and a support system behind me there, it comforted me to know that I really had people that cared about my well-being and it was going to be okay. So, we talked about all those things on the conference call. And then after release, I was set up with Jeannie Solis, who is our peer specialist. And I called her as soon as I got out, and she was able to further help me and give me resources and, make sure that I had everything I needed and all the information I needed, and connected me to everybody. So, and she's great. And so it was really comforting, and I feel blessed that I was able to be a part of that and have those resources and a support system behind me.
Jeannie is a great story, and we'll talk about her here in a little bit. So I'm glad you foreshadowed that, Carly. Good job. I didn't even have to prompt you to do that. Way to go. Okay, very proud of you for that. So as we talked about kind of how your perspective changed as class started and to the end of class, but as you have kind of gone through the first several months here of reentry, what have you found to be the largest obstacles to you kind of readjusting and reassimilating back into society?
Yeah. Job search as a felon isn't the easiest. I didn't have the most incredibly hard time, but I know people that do, and it wasn't easy. And so that's one thing. Healthcare is really difficult to find affordable or at all, really. And another thing would be technology. You need an email to do anything. And then, living so long without current technology and having to reset up all those passwords and email accounts and bank cards and calling government agencies and all those things is not easy. It took me weeks to figure it out. And so those were some of the struggles I did have.
So tell us where you're living now.
I live at the Healing House, which is a Christian ministry program in Jefferson City. And I live at the Bethel House, which is kind of like the Step Up House. And it's a great program. I love where I live. And I'm going to stay in Jefferson City when I graduate that in approximately 9 months or whatever. So I really like living in Jeff City.
Excellent. And I will remind some of our past MRP conference participants will remember Heather Geek came and shared with us several years ago about her program at the Healing House and New Beginnings in Jefferson City. So that's where Carly has gone, and that's where Carly is thriving. So I'm grateful for that. So Carly, if you could put into, I don't know, 2 or 3 words, okay? I'm putting you on the spot, okay? All right, no pressure, no pressure. Notice she laughs because she's used to me putting her on the spot. So welcome back to class, okay? So put into 2 or 3 words what you would say Aspire Mo and Connections and CWIB and, you know, the Healing House and Department of Corrections, put into a few words what this pre-release and that process meant to you and what it means to have this kind of support.
Comforting, a huge blessing, great support system.
Good, good. I thank you for that, because one of the things that we know, Carly, is that it's so difficult for anybody who's released from prison to get readjusted to life outside in the community. But, you know, I think the challenge for us is to understand how we all play a part in that. So there's a couple of questions that have been posed that we want to make sure that we identify. One of them is, Carly, can you identify any areas we can do better on the inside to help with your transition?
Actually, I was really lucky and dedicated to, you know, changing my life. I attended cosmetology school through the VOTEC, and I was able to do Aspire and do the Connections to Success class. And, you know, but I think that there could be more programming for job training. I think that would be great. I think, you know, I've talked to the women, you know, I lived with them for 5 years, and everybody there wants to turn their life around and become a better mother and grandmother, or whatever the case may be, or be better for themselves. And they really want, you know, life skills classes like Connections to Success. That's an amazing class. It teaches you a lot of stuff. I left with a resume. That's huge. And you know, more programming for job training is what I would say, you know, could be better.
You know, I'm supposed to be reading questions to you, but I do have to read one of the comments that was made. And I believe this was by Bill Den. He said, Carly, we are extremely proud of the progress and success you have achieved. Thanks for the courage to tell your story, and congratulations to you, and keep it up. Those are the kind of things, Carly, that I want you to hear, because as much as we try and help you, you have to be willing to receive that help. So I am so thrilled to hear you talk about the things that we can do better on the inside of the prison. One of the questions that has come in from the outside is, does Aspire Mo help to engage clients with technology? And what do we do to help with technology? So I don't know, Jesse, do you or Kellyanne want to address that?
Sure. We do a little bit. It's not a main pillar of what we're doing, but we talk about phones, but they do have a computer in class. So, and that is a challenge sometimes. I walk in with these laptops, and some of our ladies have never really been on a laptop before. And so they do have to type up those business plans. We don't do it for them, so they have to access software. But a big component of our market research section of the Launch You curriculum is teaching them how to Google things. And so if you're doing market research for a business, or even where are things in my neighborhood or things like that. We do look at that. It's not a big element right now, and it probably could be added into curriculum at some point. But beyond that, we don't do a ton. But I think, does MoStart or any of those other resource partners provide that type of training, Ken?
Jesse, I would also add that you do address in some of the earlier sessions maybe appropriate or less appropriate ways to engage online with their customer base,
Yes.
or kind of advertising 101 or the value of social media in business today. So I think that there are pieces of it, as you said, but certainly something to consider for future expansion.
I definitely forgot about that part. And yeah, we talk a lot about, we even show some classic, some of my public clients that have made some tragic mistakes on their social media. So we do look at some of that, of some basics, do's and don'ts, and the things that you do post on your personal Facebooks will reflect your business. And I think we all know that more than ever right now with the environment we're in. So we do talk about that and social media as a tool for business and their personal life with job hunting.
Perfect. Any other questions for Carly? Any other questions for her? There's some other general questions about the program that we can certainly answer at another time, but anything for Carly?
Ken, I'm going to jump in real quick while we're waiting on any questions for her. But I think one of the things that we may not have exactly talked about is, how did Carly actually start her business? So as you can see on the screen, she has Serenity Essentials, essential oils and aromatherapy. That was her original business plan. And as Carly spoke about, she was able to take advantage of the cosmetology classes that were being offered at Vandalia, and actually went to St. Louis and passed her cosmetology licensing, or her boards, so that she could get her license from the state. So having that piece of paper in hand was essential to her getting a side job, if you will. So, and I know Jesse would talk about this, but many people who start businesses start their jobs on the side. So Carly's joining us from Scholastic Incorporated, which we are grateful to Tammy Shute, who's the VP of HR at Scholastic, and for allowing her to work there full time. And we're very excited about that. But Carly had an opportunity through some networking that she did through the Healing House to go into a long-term care facility in Jefferson City, getting tested for COVID, of course, before she went in, but was able to, sorry, somebody just came in. Was able to go ahead and get a job lined up. Then she needed the tools. So she didn't actually have the tools to do the work, but she had the job opportunity. In comes Jesse and some of the private funding that we raised. So we raised private dollars for this program as well. And we were able to meet her at Cosmo Prof. We had her get a list of everything that she could need to do her hair cutting and hair styling mobily. And she did that, and she was able to buy everything she needed and then went and did the job. Carly, do you want to tell us a little bit about that process and how that felt?
It was amazing being able to buy my tools as a cosmetologist. Like, I just love shears and blow dryers and stuff. So it was like super exciting to finally be able to like get all the things that I needed. And the actual experience with the residential care facility was amazing. They were very welcoming. I did have to take a COVID test. They were very concerned about their residents, which is awesome. And the people were great. They hadn't had haircuts for 6 months or more. And so they really needed them. And for 2 days, I was able to provide haircuts and grooming services to over 20 people. And so it was really exciting, and it was a great financial like income for myself. And I will continue to do that. And, you know, I put Scholastic first right now as my full-time job, but in the future, I would like to add more residential care facilities or other mobile, you know, make more business doing mobile hair cutting. So
That is awesome.
plan.
And how does it feel to be in that position right now?
It's amazing. I knew that the opportunity was there. I knew with a lot of hard work you could get there. And I was willing to do the work, but for actually to come to fruition is just like amazing. It's hard to wrap my mind around it sometimes, and
Yeah,
I'm just grateful
absolutely.
for all
Look,
the opportunities.
Carly, there was another question from Kimberly Bowers. She said, while you were incarcerated, were the lessons on balancing a checkbook and doing all that financial stuff, was that helpful to you? Was that beneficial to you?
Absolutely. While you're incarcerated, you meet lots of people, and there's people who've never even held a full-time job or had a checking account. Before I was incarcerated, I did have those opportunities, but being there for so long, it's like you kind of just like lose it almost, So those skills, brushing up on those skills were very helpful. And it was incredible to see like people learning things for the first time and getting opportunities to have a better life upon release.
Well, Carly, I just want to say we're so proud of you.
Thank you.
So proud of you and so proud of what you've done and so proud of just everything that you have accomplished in this time. I know it's kind of been like a whirlwind for you in many ways. It's certainly always a challenge. There's never a set formula or like a script for us to follow, but I'm so proud of the work that you've done. And is there anything else you want to say before we move on?
Yeah, I was actually talking to Jeannie Solis the other day, and just we're talking about how amazing everything is and our lives and stuff like that. And I was like, remember when Jesse said that you're going to have to work full time and do your business and it's going to be really hard? I was like, that's true, So, and it was just so funny because I clearly remember saying that, and it's not easy, but I feel like I have these awesome opportunities because of Spire. And I think that it's really important that when COVID ends, that they're allowed to go back in and help other women. And I'm excited for that for other women because it's really changed my life, and I'm super grateful.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Carly. Really appreciate that. There's so many people that are saying right now online that they're so proud of you and so proud of what you've done. And we really, really are proud of you. And thank you, Tammy, for letting Carly join us. We're gonna move on with the agenda now. We're still working on the sound.
I think we have, Ken, I think Denise is on here. Do we?
Denise?
Can you hear me, Ken?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay. Lori Barnes, you're the next contestant. Come on down. Okay. So we're so thrilled to have Lori with us and excited about her story from inside the wall. So, okay, Lori, so you heard kind of the setup that we had. How did your perspective change? What was your experience as you went from the first of class to the end of class? How did your perspective change?
Okay. When we very first went to class, it was a little bit intimidating, exciting, new. It was fun to do something different that nobody had ever done before. And we started out with our strengths. We learned those, and we learned to focus on our strengths and not our weaknesses. And then I got a little overwhelmed when I was thinking, oh my goodness, we're going to be able to make a business plan in this 3 months. I am not the typing, writing kind of person. I'm more math and dogs, hands-on kind of person. So that was the intimidating part to me. But as we went through all the steps, it was just amazing how it was all coming together. And then when they finally handed us our business plan, I was so proud just to be able to look through it and read it, and those were my words. And it looked so professional. It just gave me a lot of confidence that I could do this. And not only did this help me, but I trained dogs for 8 years here, and that's what I love to do. And so to have the opportunity to do something you love, and it not just be a dream, it be a reality, I mean, that's the best job you can have when you love. It showed me that I'm selling myself. I'm selling
Mm-hmm.
My product is my knowledge.
Yes.
So it showed me that my business plan is very feasible because of the low cost of the startup. And that mainly I need to work on marketing. I am a felon, but felons actually have a good rapport with dog training. You know, look at all the bulldogs on TV, or not bulldogs, the pit bulls for
Yep.
Burleys. So they just gave me lots of encouragement, and they pushed you outside your comfort zone to where you could talk in front of people. I'm here right now in front of this camera. You know, it's an amazing class. I am so honored to have the opportunity to have done that and to meet you guys. You are my family. I mean, it's amazing. I have people I can call, you know, when I have problems or I need to know how to do something. I have somebody that can point me in that direction that's been there from the beginning.
Oh,
Okay, I'm on
that's
class.
so wonderful. I am so glad you shared that. So tell me about the feeling of accomplishment. Tell me about what that means to you to, you know, I mean, you've been out of the program now for a bit in a sense of, you know, the actual curriculum and the teaching. So tell me as you look back, you know, tell me about the intangible things. Tell me about, you know, the things that you can't, data doesn't measure. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about, Mary? I mean, tell me about, you know, the self-esteem. Tell me about how you feel about what you can do and what you can accomplish now.
I got bragging rights in prison. What are you talking about? I just fired. There's only 30 of us that have even been picked. So, no, I'm just kidding. I'm not. I'm kind of kidding. Anyway, it was, like I said, it was an honor to even be chosen. They only choose 10 of you, so that makes you feel special too. And then I feel like I'm getting lost, Ken, in the question. Can you ask it one more time? I'm sorry.
No, I tell you what, as you process that question, I tell you what, we've also got some other folks on here. I want to look at some other questions that folks have asked. I want to make sure I'm gauging that too. So just give me a minute to kind of navigate here so you can get your thoughts about you.
Okay.
And so you're just fine. Keep going with what you're doing. So
Okay.
as you let's turn the tables this direction. You're thinking about reentry and you're thinking about release. So tell us, what are your biggest concerns as you start looking at release? What are your biggest concerns as you start thinking about, okay, I'm Lori Barnes, I'm getting out, I'm really concerned about fill in the blank.
It's only 15, 16 months away now.
I know.
And the COVID, okay? The
Okay.
social distancing. I talk to my son and my sister a lot, and they're always like, you don't know this world. There's so much going on with Black Lives Matter right now. You see it on TV. I don't know what it's like in real life. I only see the news. It's a little bit scary and intimidating. And plus, how do you sell your product, which is your knowledge, if you can't go to people's homes and do it? So, but first, actually, you have to have a real job before you can even start your business. But I would say it would be like insurance, like finding a job that has insurance.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's a big one. COVID.
Yeah.
Social distancing, wearing masks everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
technology. The last phone I had was a Razor flip phone, okay? Yeah, you
I'm
remember
with you.
those? Yeah, okay, so I've never even seen a smartphone. And you heard not Kelly, it was Jesse earlier talking about the laptop. Well, I was that person. I was one of them. I was like, what is this? And you got to put your fingers like this? You know, it was just weird.
Yeah, you should have seen her face when we
There's
said
a lot of things, and it was neat to get to hear Carly because I was like, those are what I'm worried about.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I'm worried about the right things, apparently.
I love it. And those are the concerns that I want everybody to hear, because while we talk about the wraparound services and we talk about the things that are being provided to the women, there are life skills that are different for each person that they need. Not everybody needs the same set of life skills. And so helping us and helping them navigate that water as they reenter is very, very important, and helping them kind of process through, it's hard to answer what do I need when I'm not really sure what the world looks like on the outside. And so I appreciate you being transparent with that, Lori. I appreciate you being honest. I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked Carly just a little bit ago. 3 words to describe this program.
I would have to agree with Carly on some of them. Your self-esteem. It builds your self-esteem up. It builds your confidence up. And it's a blessing to get to have this team walk with us through this journey. Because it is a journey. And you know you're going to need somebody when you get out, even if it's just a bad day and you need direction or a little encouragement. You have people, and it's always good to have that kind of people.
Perfect.
So support, definitely.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Lori. We're gonna move on, but I appreciate you navigating those waters. Miss Dewey, I appreciate you navigating the technology inside the prison to get us connected with Lori. Lori, we will look forward.
Bye, you guys.
We will look forward.
Thank you so much. Inside the facility, this was unprecedented and quite a bit for us to throw on to the staff out there at Vandalia, but they have been so very patient with us and kept working through. So I seriously, I just want to say thank you so much. So, all right.
So I'm going to do this now. I'm going to pivot a little bit, and what we're going to do is I'm going to give Kellyanne just a few minutes to give us an update on Emily Kirchhoff and Nagayla Gibbs, and because they are 2 of our Aspire Mo folks that were a part of the governor's State of the State speech not too long ago. So Kellyanne, you want to talk about them and update them?
Sure. Thanks, Ken. I know we're running short on time, so I'll go through this pretty quickly. So Governor Mike Parson and his wife Teresa, as you can see, are very supportive of our efforts with the Aspire Mo program. And the First Lady actually came in and taught a financial literacy class, which I think was the first time that had happened in Missouri state history, that a First Lady was in a prison teaching a class. She's a former banker, and she actually brought all of her own handouts. So we were pretty impressed by that, and grateful that the governor and his administration chose to highlight our program as the only program that was highlighted from a state perspective at the State of the State in January. He actually spoke directly and in depth about Nagayla and Emily. Nagayla is in St. Louis. She also participated in the MoStart program through State Tech and is now a lead technician, maintenance technician at a cold storage logistics company in St. Louis. We actually got to see her yesterday. So that was really awesome. She's doing tremendously well. We're so proud of her. Emily, Danielle, I don't know if you have the photos of them now or not on the next slide. That'd be great. Thanks. So you can see Emily there. Emily welcomed her first child to the world a little while ago, and she is doing, Uriah is the baby's name. They're both doing great. She's working for a company that does Veterans Administration healthcare work and doing well with her hourly wage. And then there's Nagayla. She's at work right there, looking strong and healthy, which is all we can hope for our girls. And as you can see, she is earning a good wage as well. The vehicle that you see there was actually donated by Connections to Success. So it takes all of these partners together working to solve problems for all of our graduates.
Absolutely, and appreciate all that. And one of the things that I want to plug just real quick, and I want to talk about is Jean Solis. And Jeannie's out there, and Jeannie is actually a graduate of our program, cohort 2. Jeannie is energy all wound up into a tiny, tiny little person. And she pools all that energy toward helping other people. And she got connected with the Central Region Workforce Development Board, and she received her Certified Peer Support Specialist training. I saw Michael Eanes is out there in the crowd somewhere. I saw a chat from him a while ago. And much like Jeannie, Michael has done the same thing. And so Jeannie's out there and she works with our women. She keeps tabs on our Aspire Mo women through the Central Region Workforce Development Board. And we are so proud of her and the work that she's done. To think that a year ago she was inside the walls of a prison and now she's out helping her folks, helping her friends, helping the people who she made relationships with inside the prison, calling them, checking on them, trying to get them services and help them out, just being a support for them. And what a tremendous, tremendous thing it is to think that one of our partners and one of the agencies that we work with is willing to hire her, a former offender, a former felon, to come in and to work with this population. So I'm so proud of Jeannie and the work that she does. You know, Kellyanne just said she's a rock star, and she is. She just really is a rock star. But again, the quality of the women and the opportunity that we're giving them to succeed is not something that we just do. It's something that they're going out and claiming. And a part of them claiming that is because of what they're receiving. And so I'm really proud of this work and what we're doing. What we're going to do now is we're going to take a commercial break. I'm going to let Arches kind of transition us into that with Mission Gate. So I'm going to turn it back over to Wendell. And then when we come back, we'll answer some of the questions that you all put in the question and answer box and in the chat box.
All righty. Well, thank you, Ken, and thank you to the panelists. An amazing conversation that we've had this afternoon. To Carly and Lori, wonderful articulation of your stories, and nothing but hopes and blessings that you continue to succeed from this person, Wendell E. Kimbrough. We are now, as Ken indicated, gonna have a little commercial from Mission Gate Ministry, and then when we finish with the ministry commercial, Ken Chapman and Danielle will take questions. Roll the tape.
Hi, I'm Pastor Joe Bruno from Delhi Baptist Church in Cuba, Missouri. If you don't know what the Mission Gate Prison Ministry is all about, it's about reforming and changing men's lives and their families' lives. And it's a Christ-based ministry, which I'm all for, obviously. And I thank the Lord for this ministry. It has enriched my life. It's enriched our church worship service, having these men from different backgrounds and from all walks of life come and join us and worship with us.
And we're going to turn it back over to Ken and Danielle. Unmute yourself, Ken.
There we go. There we go. Excellent. Thank you, guys. So a couple of questions that were being asked and that I'm going to kind of try and direct the traffic here towards the folks that can answer their questions. One of them was, does Aspire help clients navigate health coverage concerns?
Want me to answer that? So it is part of our monthly calls. So a big part of when they're looking for jobs and things, you know, we have those conversations with them about, okay, this job opportunity pays $15 an hour and this one pays $16 an hour, but the $16 an hour one doesn't have health coverage and this one does. So we do. And then Jeannie and Sunday Joe's team are very, very, very helpful in navigating other types of resources might be available to them via, all the different health services. And I'm not the best person to talk about all of those things, but we make sure they have coverage as soon as possible through all the various platforms. And it is something we track actively of who has health insurance and who doesn't.
Excellent. Another question that was asked was, how is the Aspire program funded? So Kellyanne, I'm going to let you kind of take that one because that's one that you've been directly engaged with.
Sure, thank you. So when we came up with this idea, there was no budget for this, right? It was just like, hey, this is a great idea. We want to do it. Now figure out how to fund it. So through the 501c3, where the Missouri Women's Business Center is housed, Central Missouri Community Action, we were able to privately raise dollars to get started. So we had to buy, as Jesse talked about earlier, we have computers. So we have laptops that we had to buy. We have the live plan that we have to purchase for each participant. So the licensing for that, the Launch You books, and some other things that we needed to run the class. So we raised a little over $10,000 the first year, just from friends, and Veterans United Foundation was very generous to us. Hawthorne Bank was a supporter, a couple of private individuals, and a woman-owned construction company, Hubert and Associates. So that was really great, as well as the IT firm out of Jefferson City. So 2 women-owned businesses actually personally invested in this program because they believed so much in what we were talking about doing. And then we were able to work very closely with our colleagues at DWD to access WIOA dollars and funding through Central Workforce Development Board. And that also went through CMCA, Central Missouri Community Action. They applied to be an eligible training provider. So that's how we were able to access some of the federal dollars. But we have very much relied on the private fundraising as well. And I was a professional fundraiser for 11 years before my appointment. So have done a little bit of that in my time.
Excellent, excellent. I hope you can still hear me. My video seems to be doing something a little funky, so I hope you can still catch me. This next question, I'm gonna kind of direct toward Danielle Bellamy, who is she talked about this a little bit earlier, some of these pieces, but Danielle, the question that was posed was, are there any requirements or cutoffs for entry to the Aspire Mo program, like time remaining in their sentence, a charge, or engagement in other programs? What are kind of the pieces there?
So we don't have many like hardline requirements. Really, we do want to prioritize the enrollment of participants. We want to get those people in who are going to be transitioning out first, of course. Educationally, they need to be able to engage in this program. They need to be able to have literacy skills sufficient to complete these types of programs. And then actual schedule and availability, as Jesse talked about earlier, this is an intense class. We had them for 3 hours a week, a full afternoon, and after completion of the Aspire Mo program for the 20 weeks, there's an additional 2.5 week program with Connection to Success that they complete, and that's all day, 5 days a week. So we certainly need to make sure that they have the schedule and the time and the capabilities to complete the program. But we really want to, more than anything, we are looking for people who are motivated and who are ready to change and eager to participate and committed to being successful and making a genuine effort throughout the class and beyond the class, throughout the institution. I think we're creating mentors and models through this program. So really, it's a whole combination of pieces that we look at.
Absolutely. There's a couple other questions. One is, if someone does not obtain a birth certificate or social security card DOC, can Aspire help them with obtaining this? And really, a part of requirements to be a part of WIOA and to be able to get WIOA funding to help support these clients with supportive services upon release, they need to have those documents prior to release. So I hope that kind of answers your question. Our goal is to get them those documents before they are released out into the community. In case they do not, that's not really an Aspire Mo piece. That's one that we would use more of our partners for. So I wanted to answer that question. There's another question here about, I've had multiple offenders from Amber Adams ask about life skills and for education on life skills. will life skills programs be offered at other institutions? And Amber, I can tell you that's something that we are working on very diligently and hoping we can address that very soon. Right now, we've thrown a lot at our staff with new assessments and other pieces of programming. So we don't want to overwhelm them too fast with additional things, but that is a great question. And those are the things that we're looking for. One of the questions that has been asked also here, and we just have like literally a minute, would you consider an internship for those who are interested in the program and working with those on the inside? I'm not sure how to answer that question. I mean, I think they're asking if somebody was interested, guys, in working with you all, would there be a possibility for them to be an intern working with the program? Jesse?
Absolutely. At CMCA, we have a very robust intern network for all of our various programs. And I'm actually right now getting ready to drop my email in the chat. Feel free to reach out to me about that. And hopefully when we're back up and running, we'll need all the interns we can get.
Perfect. Another question, and this is the last one that I see. So if you send one now, I'm sorry, I can't help you. But one is, I've noticed the FBI is really pushing out commercials and has started a focus on cybercrime such as money laundering that start innocently, in other words, too good to be true opportunities. Do participants in any reentry programs get an education on how the internet or social media works and how to avoid those kind of crimes? I'm sure for some justice-involved individuals, social media didn't exist or wasn't as big of a deal when they were incarcerated. And obviously we do that with Aspire Mo. That was a part of this program that we talk about often. It is also a discussion that occurs, we try to have it occur with clients prior to release through various other programs, but specifically it's not something we address as a department. So I want to be very honest about that. We would consider that more of a life skills kind of opportunity. And so that will be something we will certainly address later. Jessie has to head out to do some personal stuff and pick up her kiddos. So we thank you to her. And I want to thank everybody on the panel for being a part of this today. I know we had some technical difficulties to overcome, but we did so. And so thank you to all our panelists for being a part of this. Thank you for your hard work. We look forward to being able to engage with you guys in more conversations about Aspire Mo in the near future. So thank you for that. Don't get off the call yet. I'm going to turn it back over to the man, the myth, the legend that is Wendell Kimbrough. So Wendell, take it over.
All right. Thank you all very much. Please stay on. We're almost there. Let me echo Ken's thanks to Jesse, Danielle, Kellyanne, and Denise, and also to Ken for very excellent facilitating. What we're going to do now is conduct a raffle. And today's prize is a $25 Amazon gift card provided by the Missouri Association for Workforce Development. And it's going to be executed on screen. So Eric and Tiffany, do your thing. And you must still be on to win. Kreisman, are you there? Do we know if she's there?
Yes, I do see her here.
You do see her there.
I'm here.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. In this wonderful COVID world, nothing is better than an Amazon gift card right about now. So congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
For everyone, as we get to the end, we'd like to ask each and every one of you to take a brief survey. For those of you that don't know Arches, we are very, very committed to surveying and making sure that what's going right, we enhance. What we need to improve, we do that also. And then what simply does not work, we don't want to get involved there. So taking surveys and telling us that information is very critical, and we appreciate it in advance. There's going to be a film festival. View yesterday's release on the app or the website. And then remember, next Tuesday. The next session is Return Strong Missouri, helping Missourians skill up and get back to work. Next Tuesday, 2 o'clock to 3:30, same bat time, same bat channel. On behalf of the committee executing this first time virtual statewide Missouri Reentry Conference, thank you all so very much for taking the time to participate. I know for sure that the information today was extremely informative, and I really can't get over the passion of the two young ladies that were the stars of the show. And it's a wonderful opportunity for us to see people grow and become contributing members of society. Thank you all. Thank everyone. We'll see you next Tuesday. Goodbye, everybody.